Is this what it feels like when I explain X-Men storylines to you?
A little bit, although I think you do much better at it than I am.
And like, well, it does it, but he has to kill her because the thing is side and it's making this thing.
Yeah, I know, right? Hello and welcome to Incomplete Geeks, a gay geek podcast where we talk about all sorts of geeky things, put our gay spin on it. Some of the things we talk about we know a lot about. Other things, our knowledge is a little bit
incomplete.
Thank you for joining us. This is episode number 51. I am John Turnett. Over there is Faux Nick. We are here to talk today about a TV show that is very dear to my heart called Fringe, which you already know if you're listening to this episode, so thank you for listening.
Because the title of the episode is like Fringe.
Probably be like Fringe and not the hair kind or whatever it's going to be.
I know, I was like, what can I say? It's like, not everyone suits a fringe.
Not everyone suits a fringe, but people in America would not understand that joke.
That's true.
When you were like,
Are any of our listeners from America?
Yes.
Apart from your family.
Like 60% are from America.
Oh.
No, sorry, it's opposite. I think 60% are from UK and maybe
Nice.
35.
Hello, America. Thanks for tuning in. How's it going over there?
And only half of them are my family members.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. None of my family listen to it, so don't worry. You're doing better than me.
Thank goodness. Your brother does.
No, he does not. He was told not to. He can't handle this.
Oh, I thought you said once there he was. Then you told him not to. After.
No, and I told him, it's like, I mentioned you like quite a lot in the podcast. He's like, I was told not to listen, so I didn't listen. Like,
by whom then? I didn't say anything to him.
I told him. Because
right.
when like cruel holer to fill and
that was great, yeah.
And smash or pass and like, don't play this in the car with your 9-year-old son.
Anyway,
so there's a show.
Thanks for listening to this episode. This is my my suggestion to talk about this show because I love it and I don't think that it really got a lot of love, especially not over on this side of the pond.
Not from me.
I was raised it as a suggestion to you, Nick, and you were like, you didn't know anything about this show, did you?
And I remember it being a show because it was pacey.
Yeah.
And then at one point, I think when they did like a thing where there's like other people from other dimensions, she had a fringe and the poster was just fringe and it was a woman with a fringe and it felt a bit like, well, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well done. You've labeled this correctly.
Haircut.
For our American listeners, fringe is the British term for bangs, basically.
I was going to say, Americans know that?
Nope, they do not. I mean, generally speaking. I can speak generally as much as I know for the fact we put butter on sandwiches sometimes.
That's true.
And also that the word fringe just doesn't mean the same thing over there.
So that is literally all I know. I think I watched the first episode when it came out, but I couldn't tell you. Are they like scientists, spy people?
I'm so happy to bring you all this information, which I will do. And I've seen every episode, and I want to talk about it today. Before we get to that, I have a bit of not a geeky review. No. I have a bit of a listener feedback.
Oh God!
Do you have an intro to this?
Captain, we are being hailed.
Incoming transmission.
Before I go, I just want to tell you were fantastic.
No, but
listener feedback. So we talked about Emma Frost.
We sure did
for our 50th episode last week last episode.
Yeah.
And we had somebody write in and want to pitch in their own 2 cents. And I thought this is generally nice enough. I think you would like to hear this, Nick. So I'm going to read it.
Like the entire thing?
I may have edited it slightly.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to listen to this and he'd like to go. Okay. But I did ask permission. He said it was fine that I read it on air. Are you ready? So this is a response to our previous Frost episode.
Yeah.
A previous episode about Emma Frost. Hi, Nick and John. I love the style of the podcast and your recent episode about Emma Frost. She is my all-time favorite, and I've been reading the comics since the 80s. Ooh. First of all, I love Nick's disdain of Jean Grey.
She sucked.
The sad thing about the Gen X film pilot is that it was meant to be a pilot for a TV show, but they went with Mutant X instead.
Oh, I remember Mutant X because the TV show.
I guess I don't know. I have no idea what he's talking about.
It's like, it looks like it should be an X-Men thing because there was a title called Mutant X, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
And it was just like, you know, like a super, very like Fox sci-fi TV.
But
was spies and then I have a superpower. It was shit.
Okay,
Anyway,
but was it like an X-Men tie-in or something?
they
or
weren't
not?
named X-Men.
Okay.
I did watch a few of them. But they had some,
He goes on. A couple corrections, though. Which is all the people want to write about.
People love to give corrections. Hey, the title of the show
is
literally Incomplete Geeks. And we say twice, once at the beginning and once at the end, that we may have gotten things wrong.
Yes. And I am also definitely the incomplete one when it comes to Emma Frost, which is fine.
And we encourage you to let us know.
So he writes, she is a playable character in X-Men Legends 1.
Okay, that's your fault.
Okay, fine. That was my fault, yeah. She gets kidnapped in X-Men Legends and mind-controlled to the dark side.
Ooh.
Okay, that's fine. She is in Pride of the X-Men and the video game that came off of it, which we did, which we do mention, yeah. She was in the Dark Phoenix arc in the X-Men animated show.
She was. I didn't want to interrupt you on a good rant.
Correct. We didn't say she wasn't, but we did. We kind of brushed her. I said I don't remember her being in the show, which is true.
Which is true. She was in it, but
she is also in Wolverine and the X-Men, and she's in X-Men anime. Like
Wolverine and the X-Men, she is the star of that show.
Oh, is she?
So good. She's really, really good at that.
And that was only like 5 or 6 years ago, wasn't it? Maybe more like closer to 10. But that's a recent.
That's the last kind of one, I think.
Okay. He goes on. Professor X is well evil.
He is well evil.
He's well evil.
Is this an English person?
Yes.
He's like well evil.
He's not American. Like, he's evil very well. Emma's breakdown moment was with Beast, not Logan, as the two of them became quite good friends. He's probably the main person who accepted her into the X-Men. They have some really cute moments, and when he tried to put her back together when she got shattered into thousands of pieces, heart emoji.
That was Brett saying it was Logan,
was it?
Not me.
Oh.
And I know because I remember Beast putting her back together, and Jean had to help, and she's like, think of a pink door opening so that she could get access to his intelligence and use the Phoenix Force to fuse her together.
Hi there, dear listener. This is John chiming in with a little addendum post-recording. I have to interrupt very briefly just to say, actually, Brett was right. It was Logan that Emma is basically breaking down in front of because she hates being at the X-Mansion. We didn't know this at the time because we were recording, but we did actually go back and find that actual panel that Brett was referring to, and it is indeed Logan. I don't know anything about Emma Frost, so I didn't know this, but we thought it worth pointing out. Maybe the listener who wrote in was thinking of a different panel, one that Nick remembered from somewhere else, and it was a different moment, but that's probably where the confusion is. So just in case anybody cared, it was actually Logan. Brett was right. We were both wrong. We're both incomplete geeks. Thank you for listening. And now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Programming. Oh, fuck, I almost had that good. Really?
So notes on John and notes on Brett so far.
Yeah, okay.
Any more?
Mm-hmm, there's one.
Oh,
Cable, just the one. And then it goes on. Cable is not Jean Grey's son.
It's Madeline Pryor's son.
Or identical twin son. It's her clone's son.
We know this, but it felt like a fun banter.
It was. He does put a winky face emoji with the tongue out, so I think he knows he's being nitpicky here. But he says, I mean, it's a huge thing, though, about who Maddie is and why that entire situation goes to crap when Jean is found in the harbor in a cocoon, which we did talk about in our Retcons episode.
Yes, we sure did.
If you listener want to listen to
episode number
26. I wrote it down. Episode 26. Go back and listen to our Retcons episode, a drunk rant about Retcons.
I will repost it on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Do we have show notes? We'll put a link to the show. Cyclops was a total tool. Jean comes back and he basically ghosts the person he's married to, and she snaps and sells her soul to demons.
Sure does.
But he spells it funny. Is it on purpose or is he?
This is one where it's not spelled. It should be Demons.
Okay, so
does he do diamonds?
I think he does Deamons.
It's also fun to do that.
Fine. Then he moves on from the corrections. He says, in fact, there's a very interesting comic that focuses on Jean leading up to Onslaught, where it has Jean not filtering what she can hear physically from those around her.
Great issue. It's one of my favorites of Jean. She just lets the guard down and she hears everyone's hypocrisy, and that's where you find out that Professor X was in love with her when she was a teenager.
What?
Gross.
Weird. And how she finds out. And how she has to remember what pops into someone's head isn't the same as what they think and mean. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I agree that Inhumans versus X-Men was awful. To answer your question about who would play her, if we were 10 years ago, I would say Tricia Helfer. Who you know from, do you recognize that name?
No.
The Cylon from Battlestar Galactica. Do you watch Battlestar Galactica? I think it would suit her. Pull up a picture while I finish this. I'm almost done.
What am I looking for?
Tricia Helfer, Helfer. But I imagine she would be too old now to be signing up to 15 years of films. Yeah. But she would have been perfect for the role. Right, I'll leave you in peace. I've added Why I Hate Wolverine to my listen to list, as I couldn't agree more. Keep up the good work. Keep up the great work, guys. If you, dear listener, want to listen to the drunk rant about why I hate Wolverine, that's episode 36.
The drunk rants are my favorite because basically I just get drunk and shout at the microphone, which is what I do most of the time.
They are popular.
Yes, I've seen her on the posters for it.
For Battlestar Galactica, yeah. So
I don't know her, and so I feel it's important. Emma needs to be really intelligent, really classy, and
classy.
Really cutting.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that works for her.
I only know her from that show, so I couldn't say anything about like her acting ability or anything. But she got the look. So that's from listener Stuart D. So thank you for
thanks.
Thank you.
Pleased that the majority of the notes and corrections were not mine.
Fine, fair enough. Or there were things that we just didn't mention. Yeah. So if you have if you, dear listener, want to write in, if you've got comments or questions or feedback, anything, do so at incompletegeekspodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Please do.
Yeah. Right. Moving on to our main topic. So we get going. Why don't you bring up the intro? Just look at Fringe intro. Because it's kind of, I'll try to describe it as you're looking it up. It's basically got these weird, a mishmash of like nature and science kind of things, which are called glyphs, which I'll get into a little bit later. Meanwhile, there's like words flashing by that are like on the fringe sciencey thing, like dark matter, artificial intelligence, like things that are on the border of science as we know it. And that's just like a fringe title scene, like the word fringe comes together from fragments. What is this?
It's like a compilation. Give it a second.
Yeah, so teleportation.
Precognition.
Cybernetics.
Dark matter. Handprint.
With 6 fingers.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Yeah. That's all it is. There you go. So that's the Fringe intro. The whole let me give you a bit of background first. So this is a
What is it?
They aired on Fox.
Yeah, it looks
in 2008, lasted for 5 seasons. Apparently was always meant to have just 5 seasons, as they always say, when it gets canceled. It's a show that's created by J.J. Abrams and 2 of his compatriots. So he's wrapping up Lost as a TV show. Okay. Because that finished in 2010, I think. Pretty sure it was 2010, but I forget if it was like mid-season or whatever. But he was done with Alias, and I think he worked on Felicity as well.
He did Alias.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved Alias.
Did you? I never saw it.
It was a mess.
It was a mess.
It was a network television mess.
It was.
Love it.
It's good that you mentioned that, though, because I did read about how this was his next show. Mm. And so when he created it, he wanted something that was that had sort of gone away from the serialized TV shows like Lost and Alias. Yeah. And wanted something that people could just dip into and not feel like they're being left out. So it's kind of described as Lost mixed with X-Files. So X-Files happens with like a lot of weird shit and the FBI agent, an FBI department kind of researching all this weird shit. And so what they wanted to do was they wanted to transition more away from the serialized stuff, but still keep like a weekly mystery, and also have they want like a story arc that goes across like each season, but for that not to be the main focus. Okay. So the first season does that. The first 4 seasons are like 22 episodes each, and the last one is a half season. I forget why. I don't know if it was canceled mid-season or if it was just when was the last writer's strike? I forget when it was exactly. But there's something going on. Like something happened. It was only a half season. Or it was like on the cusp of being canceled. They're like, no, let's just finish the story. So they gave him like half season, whatever. So instead of Monster of the Week, they called it Mystery of the Week. Mm-hmm. So like a weird science going on. The premise is that it's set in Boston primarily and across like the East Coast of America. You've got Olivia Dunham, who is the main character. She's the FBI agent who's brought on to be the new head of the Fringe division in the FBI.
Is she the one with the Fringe?
She's the one with the Fringe. Not in the current universe. She's still.
She's the star with the Fringe.
Yeah, she's the blonde. She's blonde in our universe. So she's brought on for this one. The series opener is basically in a plane, very similar to Lost in that regard, but it's about to land. And instead of crashing, it does land by autopilot, and everybody inside is dead with like their skin falling off and stuff. Ooh. So there's like so right away from the beginning, we have a show about weird shit, gruesome stuff, and figuring out what's happening on the fringe of science as we know it.
How gruesome was it? Like, did you see it? Was it quite gory, or was it like very they're all there?
Some things are. You mean in this episode or like the whole show?
For the whole thing, but like from the start, like did they start with like, oh my god, did they go for the kind of the shock value, or was it like
you see somebody's jaw falling off?
Cool, okay.
Yeah, so it does get quite gruesome. Like it was like late in the evening, they didn't really pull any punches, but a lot of the episodes show really grotesque things. Like it doesn't shy away from it. Not all of them do, but there's a lot of that. So her boss, who's played by Lance Reddick, who's well known for being in The Wire, and he passed away recently.
Is that the Lord of the Rings guy?
No, he's in...
Or the Game of Thrones guy?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that, though?
No, he's a tall black guy.
Oh, then no, because there's no black people in either of those
bald.
shows.
He's like got a really deep voice. He's a boy, like no nonsense kind of,
Yeah, look at the cast by you chat.
Really rich voice. So anyway, he tells Olivia, you can have whatever you want to figure out this shit because there's a pattern emerging. So she looks into it and she wants to get a man called Walter Bishop because he did a lot of government. He was in part of a lot of government programs back in the like 70s, 80s kind of thing. Trouble is, he's in a mental institution, and the only one who can
that's the Lord of the Rings guy. Walter Bishop.
Walter Bishop is Lord of the Rings guy. He's most well known for being Denethor in Lord of the Rings, who's like the crazy...
The tomato guy?
Who's the tomato guy?
Like he eats something really disgusting while Pepin sings. Really gross.
Yes, he's under the spell of Grima Wormtongue, and that until Gandalf comes and sort of makes him...
John Noble. It's Australian.
Yeah. So John Noble, great actor, and I'll get into his character in a bit, but the only one who can get him out of this mental asylum is a family member, and the only family member is his son, Peter. So she has to go track down Peter, played by Joshua Jackson, Pacey from Dawson's Creek, and get him to bust him out. So those are the three main characters, and like together they sort of solve these kind of mysteries. As the season goes on, it turns out that there's a lot of like the laws of physics are changing for some reason, and there's like a pattern emerging. Nobody knows why. There's a lot of things that are fucked up, and either most of the episodes, most of these mysteries of the week come from either something weird happening or criminals or mad scientists or terrorists that are using the weird stuff happening to like experiment on civilians or something like that, and see what it does. And so they have to sort of contain it and make sure things don't blow up, kind of thing. So that's kind of the overarching kind of premise of the show.
Yeah.
The reason it's so good is because you have this mix of X-Files. It's like a police procedural where there's something happening and you have to go figure it out and stop the crisis. And at the same time, there's like this sort of weird mystery that has brought over from Lost. And at its core is a story about these three characters and a lot of peripheral ones. So you have weird shit happening, but you also have a lot of emotion and a lot of sort of character arcs. And it's not just about the weird shit, it's about how the weird shit affects the relationships between characters. And so as things go on, you're like, it just gets a bit batshit crazy, which is what I love. So,
do they solve like the mystery of the week? Like each week, do they see like, oh, here's a thing, vampires, and it's solved?
Pretty much.
Maybe there's an overarching thing, not like I think here's a polar bear, here's some smoke, here's the submarine.
Yeah.
Not going to give you any answers. See you next year.
A lot of time, especially in the first
Fucking
season.
lost.
A lot of times in the first season, there's questions that crop up that may not get answered in terms of like, where did that come from? But it seeds something else.
Yeah.
But they are able to contain it, or like they're able to sort of, something happens, or they are able to sort of make sure it doesn't get out of hand in a way.
Okay.
So there's like the suppository that I showed you on the TV screen the other day. Like that comes up later.
Is it actually a giant suppository?
No, it's something from the future. I forget what it is exactly. It was like a really early episode. I don't remember what happens. So obviously there's like the family dynamic as well, because you've got the father and son, and there's a lot of background there that is explored because he ended up being kind of an absent father because he was a bit of a mad scientist back in the day.
Gotcha.
The reason he's in a mental institution is because he's not all there anymore.
Sure.
And so you explore that a little bit and like why he's like that as well. So that's the sort of the catch, the premise. It's like they want to keep the mystery throughout, and also make a little bit of serialization. The kind of the consensus of there's 5 seasons. The first season is a bit hit and miss, so it kind of was a lukewarm reception.
They usually are. But yeah.
And every season has a different kind of feel to it. So there's something else, something new going on. A bit like Lost did as well. But the seasons 2, 3, and 4, and 5 is a bit out there. But 2 through 4 are like the really meat of it. Like it's so good, and you're exploring the characters and using the fringe sciences of weird shit to explore these relationships, basically. As soon as it gets into season 2, I think the writers changed as well, because they changed it from like shooting actually in Boston to shooting in like Vancouver, like everything was back in the day. Yeah. And I think the writers changed. Some of them didn't come along, but they really sort of focused more on the mythology, and they delved more into the shit that's going on, like your parallel universe, your time travel, your shape-shifting robots kind of thing. It's all included. It's all involved. So let's talk about the characters. Okay. Do you have any questions so far?
No, I think we're going to cover. I want to know what's the big twist?
There's so many twists. And I'm really struggling to think about what I'm going to say to you in terms of like the storyline. I could just tell you like everything that happened.
I don't need everything.
I won't give you everything. I'll give you the gist of it. So
I'm not going to watch it. It's too many
episodes. What are we doing here, Nicholas?
It's too many episodes.
It's exactly 100 episodes.
No. 100 episodes. You're currently watching Joshua Jackson? No, I'm alright.
Yeah, well, Joshua Jackson. Yeah, he's
the woman in it. She was in the Last of Us.
Yeah, she is. She's got a small part, which she was.
I don't remember the woman's name, but what's she done?
I read it was Tess. Is the name of the woman?
Yes. Did you watch The Last of Us?
No, I just read about her. I was like, what else has she been in? She's been in. Anyway.
Last of Us is amazing.
So let's talk about.
She was good.
Olivia Dunham.
She's aged though.
She is really good, and I'm surprised that she hasn't done more things. But
she was really good in Last of Us. That's a shame. Oh my god, I've just seen your notes, and it's like paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs.
So do this. One paragraph per character, and then one per season. So the strong female lead is Olivia Dunham. Let's talk about Olivia, because strong female lead, which you like.
Love.
She is no nonsense. She's very business. She's bold. She's determined to get the job done. But at the same time, she's also like on board with this weird shit, because when she gets Walter Bishop, the mad scientist archetype, she's like, what do you need? And he's like, I don't know if I want like magnetic pigeons or whatever. She's like, well, fine, I'll do it. She just gets it done. But at the same time,
was magnetic pigeons an actual thing they had to get?
Something early on. There was like they had to sort of figure out why the pigeons were flying a certain way. Anyway, that's not a notable episode that I made notes about. But at the same time as her determinedness to sort out the weird shit, she's still got family. Like, she's got a sister and a niece, and she's got a lover in the first episode.
A lover, you say?
A lover, yeah. Who's also an FBI agent, but not her partner, which I misremembered. But he gets injured in the first episode, and so that is part of the reason that she's got this added pressure to find Peter Bishop, so that he can get so he can get his dad, Walter Bishop, out of the mental institution.
Wait, what's her motivation? Why does she want to get this guy out? What's so important?
So they're investigating this plane that landed and everyone's dead inside.
Yeah, the dead plane. Gotcha.
There's an explosion. Her lovers was caught in the explosion, and now he's infected with whatever skin thing was happening.
I'm not calling her lover. It's just like her boyfriend.
Boyfriend.
Okay.
His name's John.
Just boyfriend.
Her boyfriend, her partner. But I don't want to say partner because she's an FBI agent. Anyway.
Boyfriend.
So her boyfriend. Seems so elementary school. My boyfriend.
It's just...
Anyway, fine. So he gets caught in the explosion. He's gonna die if she doesn't figure out what's going on. And so she finds out that Walter Bishop, this guy who used to work with like MK Ultra and all this government conspiracy programs kind of thing, used to work in a lot of fringe science kind of thing. He wants his knowledge. And so in order to get him out of the mental institution, she has to go find Peter Bishop, who's somewhere in the Middle East, because he's that kind of person who just a bit of a rogue, mercenary, genius, can do anything kind of thing, jack of all trades.
So Peter Bishop is a genius as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's meant to be like high IQ kind of genius. The character kind of his character's a bit fuzzy, which I'll get to. But she finds him, uses him to bust Walter Bishop out of the mental institution. They go back to his old lab at Harvard University, where he conducted all these experiments. And it's those three. So Peter sticks around to kind of be his babysitter, make sure he doesn't go too crazy. And then Olivia is obviously the one who does all the hard work and sort of makes sure that things don't happen. She's got an FBI partner as well, who's kind of like her sounding board in a way. So that's why he's there, because he has like the science. He knows the weird science that's going to help solve the mysteries. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. So...
Spoilers!
Before I get to all over the place, so she's really a good character because she's basically like, she's like the Scully in the modern Scully, where she's very by the book, but she's also not really a skeptic the way Scully was, but she's there to ground the weirdness in a way. And she's very good. She's a very good actor, as you know. Her name's Anna Torv. She's most well known for being Rupert Murdoch's niece, of all things, by marriage. So like,
okay.
So like, you know, the heir.
Choose your uncle. Oh.
Yeah, the heir to the Murdoch Corporation, Lachlan, or whatever, is her cousin. But whatever,
Okay.
she's also an actor in her own right, and she's really good.
She's very good on Last of Us, so yeah.
So then there's also Peter, who's the
Peter Pacey,
yeah. So he starts off as like a bit of an asshole, and he's like, he calls her sweetheart all the time, and she's like, call me sweetheart one more time. I really like it, or whatever she says. And kind of a jack of all trades. He's meant to be like a high IQ engineer, kind of whatever, like genius, your billionaire genius kind of thing. As the first season goes on, they kind of drop that and make him less of an asshole, but he still has that sort of charismatic approach to things. So he's a bit of a charmer. He's sarcastic with his father. He kind of feels responsibility for looking after his father because his father's a bit cuckoo, but also you could tell there's a potential that there's a dark side to him as well.
I was going to say, is the dad crazy or evil?
Good question. Which I'll get to that in a second. He's both.
Okay.
He is crazy so that he is not evil.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I'll explain that later. So he's like a dark. Because he's outside the law in a way, he's kind of like a roguish character. He will do the things that are like more illegal to sort of get the answers. You know, like he will be the person to sort of punch somebody or like threaten somebody, whatever. The way that he was written, especially in the first season, is that because of his sort of dark past, he has a lot of seedy connections with people. Like if you need somebody who needs like a certain kind of drug or whatever, he knows where to go to get it, kind of thing. So he's at first reluctant to come back to America because he thinks people are going to chase him or something, but that never really goes anywhere. But it's very handy that he's got a lot of sort of contacts in the underworld, I guess. So park him for a second. So that's his deal. And let's talk about Walter. Walter is your Lord of the Rings character.
Yeah.
He's by far the best character because he just plays it so well. There's a balance between like being crazy and being a bit childish as well. He's got this sort of childish mentality, but you can tell there's something in his past that he doesn't want to talk about. He's like he's torn by something. He insists on having a pet cow in the lab because why not? Also milk.
Okay.
As maybe like kind of a test subject or kind of thing. I forget why exactly what the reason was to have Jean the cow. He loves candy. He loves having sweets, and he always requesting sweets. He also takes drugs very recreationally. Like he'll just pop an LSD kind of tablet, and he'll be going with the agents on mission. He's like, "Oh, I just peed a little bit," and they're like, "Okay, thanks, Walter." You know,
gotcha. Right.
He will say whatever's on his mind. But they need him because he used to experiment. He used to run experiments in government programs about fringe science back in the day. So he's got unconventional methods, but you can tell that he's got a past. Like there's some turmoil that he's dealing with. He's got a lot of guilt. The reason he's in a mental institution because he's not altogether there. His memory is very spotty. He doesn't he once in a while gets frustrated when he can't figure something out, but he's racked by some sort of guilt, but you can tell that he has a really good heart and wants to help people. And he's especially in the early seasons, he's really trying to get on Peter's good side, trying to please him in some way because you can tell that he knows that he was kind of an absent father for Peter in a while. And the dynamics between those three characters is what kind of drives the show and keeps you watching. So there's the weird shit, and then also what the weird shit does to this relationship. And there are other characters as well. So on the periphery, there's Leonard Nimoy shows up. He as a recurring character. He is Walter Bishop's old lab partner. Okay. Who now runs a company. He founded a company called Massive Dynamic, which is this $1 billion research and development conglomerate that is basically somehow connected to a lot of the fringe mysteries that are going on, but they can't figure out what it is. They just seem to pop up a lot. Olivia Dunn's always trying to get a meeting with William Bell. His name's William Bell, but he's always out of the country. She can never sort of get a hold of him. There's also an assistant called Astrid, who isn't given a lot to do, but she's always in the lab. She's always very helpful. She's an agent as well, but it's just basically an assistant. She's often just on the side. They don't give her a lot of stuff to do, which is a bit of a shame because she's a woman of color and is relegated to the assistant role. Kind of his babysitter, but she's always very positive attitude kind of thing.
Woman in the chair kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she'll be the one to go get the vegetables or go get the stuff that they need kind of thing. Okay, yeah. The other there's a couple other agents and other characters that are not worth getting into right now because I don't think we have enough time in the day for that.
Is Meghan Markle in it?
She shows up for 2 episodes, which I was going to mention. Meghan Markle's in it for 2 episodes. Her character...
I don't like the fact that her Google profile is now Meghan, Duchess of Sussex.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Her
not
Wikipedia
Meghan
page?
Markle, because she doesn't have a surname anymore. She's just the Duchess of Sussex.
Is she not talking Meghan Windsor or something like that?
No, they don't use that.
Not really?
No, they just need the name and title. Sean Ashmore?
She's in an episode, yeah. I forget which one though it is though.
With his twin.
Which episode was that? I remember...
Joshua Rose and Matthew Rose. So they're in it.
Is that the character names?
Yeah. So Aaron and Sean are both in it. I forget which one. I think Aaron, one of them's gay in real life, right? No.
I don't know. One of them Sean was Bobby Drake in the...
Sean was, yeah. Julian Jacobs in it as well.
She's in the... Yeah, she's in it really early. She's in one episode. She's got dark hair. Chadwick Boseman is in an episode, yeah.
Arthur Plimpton.
Don't remember her.
Trying to see if there's any other names I recognize.
So, actually looking at that, one other character that I will mention are these observers.
Yes.
So, early on in the episode 4, you see what this strange character, no hair, so there's no eyebrows, bald. They're basically a Men in Black type weird shadowy character that wears a suit and tie and a fedora. And they're basically, it's like watching all this Fringe weirdness happen. And they're taking notes in some weird, bizarre alien language. And they don't interact, they just are always there. And Broyles, the FBI director, played by Lance Reddick. Reddick?
I don't know.
Basically is pointing out, like, he's in the background of every photo. And so he shows up in every episode at some point. Like, if you're keen, eagle-eyed viewers, like a bit of a cameo. I don't know if it's the same actor every time, but it's always an observer, quote unquote. So there's a group of them that are just showing up.
Right.
And very early on, like, one of them needs Walter's help with something, and it kind of transpires, and he helps them, and then that suppository thing needs protecting, and then it just vanishes, and the observer's like, thank you, you helped me. That just, like, goes off.
Oh, that's unsatisfying.
It's one of those things that it's kind of a seed for something else that's happening, and they do show up in every single episode. So that's worth noting. Shall I give you the rundown of, like, the story?
Yeah, well, yeah. What's the progression of the seasons?
Progression of seasons. So
seasons, yeah.
Season 1 was the most. They do try to make sure that every episode does have, like, a mystery of the week.
Self-contained.
Yes.
So it's not just a part of next.
Correct.
It is still self-contained.
Correct.
Okay.
But you can do it that way, but you will also get even more out of it if you're following along with what's happening as well.
Buffy, Alias, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There is an overarching thing, but it's still...
So, in the first season, you get to know this pattern of weird shit happening along the East Coast. They uncover a terrorist organization that is kind of manipulating the cracks in the universe that are happening.
Right.
Trying to do things to instigate them. They discover that there's, like, a manual they're following, and the leader of this terrorist organization, who was played by Jared Harris. Does that ring a bell, that name?
Some generic white guy.
Generic white guy who's, like, a villain in a lot of
Was
things.
he in
Probably.
Chernobyl?
Yes. So anyway, he it turns
Super
out
generic white guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, good boss.
So
good for an actor, yeah.
So you see the terrorist organization. Turns out that John, who was Olivia's boyfriend, was trying to stop them. And he gets resolved in some way. Jared Harris, turns out he was a former employee of William Bell, and he's trying to contact William Bell. Turns out there's a parallel universe.
Right.
Okay? And William Bell is hiding in the other universe, which is why Olivia can never get a hold of him. And so this terrorist leader, Jared Harris, I forget his name. I think it's like David Robert Jones, something like that. Anyway, he's like trying to make a device to get him to the other side. And the finale has Peter and Olivia trying to stop him, because basically the current leader of Massive Dynamic is like, don't let him get over to see William Bell, because William Bell's got all the answers that you're seeking, Olivia, and so, this is what you should do. And so to stop him, but somehow, which we don't know yet, Olivia wakes up in the alternate universe. And she's talking to William Bell, and the very last shot of the first season is them sort of zooming out on the Twin Towers. So a very sort of strong visual. So in this other universe, the towers, turns out they wasn't attacked, but the towers didn't fall, kind of thing. And so they're there. So there's an alternate universe, and that's how the first season ends. So William Bell.
I mean, that's a cool twist, but I would have felt like it's either.
This is in 2008.
It feels like
9.
It doesn't feel like if the whole season is kind of like X-Files, here's some weird stuff, and then it finishes with like other dimension.
Yeah,
I feel like that would have made me.
I mean, I'm not selling it very well, because there are hints of it dropped throughout the season, where it's like this object, but there's another object over here, which is the same thing, but it's not. Something's different about them. There's hints of an alternate universe throughout.
Okay.
But the good thing about the first season is that a lot of these weird plot kind of things are kind of just dropped.
Okay.
Like the terrorist organization is kind of like, okay, the leader's dead, he's done.
Yeah.
Olivia's boyfriend, he's now gone, he's done.
Yeah.
And this whole background with Walter writing the manual that the terrorists were following just dropped, which is great.
Didn't work. Didn't pan out. Let's go.
It did not work. It would have gotten a bit too complicated if we were to keep it up, so they kind of left it.
Fine.
So season 2, Olivia's gone. So
Okay.
season 2 starts. So like Walter and Peter are looking for her.
Does she have a fringe?
No, not yet. Just think no. She doesn't have a fringe.
Okay.
Oh, when does it happen? I don't remember. Oh wait, never mind. Oh wait. So Olivia's gone. Meghan Markle shows up in the first 2 episodes of season 2, as like a another FBI agent investigating the Fringe division. She's like making notes. She's comparing it to the Bible, and then after episode 2, she's never heard from or mentioned ever again. Oh. That's it. Like her character's just gone, and it was a bit weird. Like, hang on, whatever happened to her? Like, no, she's just forgotten, completely forgotten.
That's so network TV.
2 episodes gone. No, I don't even know why. Okay. So whatever. Meghan Markle's in this show. It's like completely forgot about until recently. So season 2 involves shapeshifters. So you want to talk about Secret Invasion, how they use identities taking over. Like, so it's really gruesome. They have to like plug in a device they kill a person, and they like put something in their mouth, and they put the other end of it in their own mouth, and they kind of absorb their image, their body shape that way. Then they got to dispose of the old body. Turns out at the end of the first episode of the second season that Olivia's FBI partner, has been taken over by one of these shape-shifting. They're actually robots, but it's just like an organic technological thing, whatever. Shapeshifters. So they're trying to uncover the secrets of how to travel between universes.
Right.
That's the whole thing. So you've got the partner who is revealed to have been a robot for whatever. These agents that are being sent across the universe from the other side. Are you still following?
Yeah.
And they're being sent across, but it turns out they can't like last that long, so they end up like after a couple weeks they start to degrade, and like their covers are getting blown. The cracks in the universe are affecting the other side as well. So in the parallel universe, the cracks are actually destroying their universe, and so in the parallel universe, Walter, who has his complete mind intact,
right, is
I thought he was like Secretary of State or something like that. But he's called the National National Security Czar. So he's like a big position to try to handle all of the fringe cracks in the universe that are slowly destroying their universe. So he's head of it. We don't know why, but he's head of it because he knows a bit of what's going on, and he's sending these shapeshifters into our universe to get information on how to cross between the universes. Okay, so Walter, or Walternet, as he's called, turns out our Walter, and William Bell.
Wait, who's Walter?
Walter's the old mad scientist, the dad.
Okay, yeah. And William Bell.
Leonard Nimoy.
Got it. Yeah, I thought it was the other way around.
Were experimenting on children back in the 80s.
Gasp.
I know. They were giving children this particular drug based on LSD to try to unlock powers.
Ooh, fun!
Yes, I know, right?
I want to do LSD that gives me powers.
Because Walter's memory is a bit shoddy, he's finding old videotapes and reviewing them, and he's like wondering, like, oh my god, I did this to all these children. Turns out Olivia was one of the kids. So Olivia might have some like supernatural kind of powers. We don't know. Oh, and by the way, in the first season, when the terrorist leader abducts Olivia because he is convinced that she has powers, and she's like, I do not have powers, but she kind of like is able to like telekinesis something once, and she's like, oh no, maybe I do. So she looks into it, and they go and find they go into the old lab in Florida where they used to experiment on these children. Olivia finds like her old like room or whatever it was, and she's able to, her power turns out that she can see things that are from the other side. So like there's one episode where, because of the cracks in the universe, like a building is being shifted over, and it's gonna impact the building from our side, and they both get destroyed. The whole point about these two universes is that the more cracks that are happening, one of them is going to blow up. One of them is going to be destroyed. And so they have to stop the cracks in the universe.
Like an incursion.
Kind of like an incursion. Yes, exactly. It should be called incursion, not fringe. Fringe incursion. Okay, so Olivia can see the things, and so she like sees the building, and she's able to evacuate everybody and save the day. Boom. Good job, Olivia. Now she knows that her power is being able to see things that actually are from the other side that have come across. And so she goes on a date. She goes back home. She's like, yeah, save the day. And then she goes over to like Peter's house, and she looks at him funny because he starts shimmering. So turns out Peter is from the other universe.
Ooh.
Yeah. And he doesn't know it.
Right.
And then because Walter knows that she's got this ability, he's like, please don't tell him the truth about where he comes from.
Yeah.
And so the next episode is my favorite episode. It's called Peter. And so you have the whole episode is a flashback to 1985. And so the intro itself, instead of like, dun, 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 like dark matter and, cognition, whatever, it's like personal computing, or like hovercrafts kind of thing. It's all sort of retroactive and all it's like 8-bit digital kind of thing. So the story is that in 1985, Walter, with his full compos mentis, his full brain intact, he's discovered that another alternate universe exists, but he can only observe it. And so he's got this sort of like a little view screen which you can see people, and he shows everybody like the top brass, like look at all these, look, there's zeppelins in the sky kind of thing. He's just observing. Our version of Peter as a kid died from some kind of disease, and I forget what it is, but it was, so our Peter died. And you see this because a few episodes before you see Walter going up to Peter's grave. And you're like, oh my gosh, Peter's dead. So Walter is observing his Walternate, trying to find a cure for his Peter because the same disease, and figures it out, but he wasn't looking at like the test tubes changing or whatever, so he missed it. And meanwhile, our Walter is like, you figured it out, like there it is, but he's gone. He moved on to the next sort of iteration. So Walter decides to go against William Bell's wishes and go across to the other universe to save their version of Peter.
Because Walternate's not going to figure it out, and he knows it's going to happen, and
he doesn't want.
Peter's going to die.
So he goes to this lake, which turns out is like the epicenter of where all. What's that look for?
Goes to a lake. Why not? Sure.
A frozen lake.
Yeah.
Which ended up being the epicenter of where all this fringe stuff is happening, radiating from. He's got the cure. He synthesizes a cure. His plan is just to sort of go across and just give it to Peter. But people from Master Dynamics show up. They try to stop him. He's like, there's a scuffle.
A scuffle? Oh no.
On the frozen lake. He makes a portal, goes through the portal. Portal closes. He looks at the cure and it's been shattered. Like the test tube's been shattered. He's like, oh fuck. No. So then he goes and finds Peter and abducts him.
Yeah.
Back to our universe, so that he can synthesize a cure, cures Peter. Meanwhile, takes him home, and his wife is like, "Oh my God, Peter!" And Walter's like, "He's not ours, darling. He can't.
Can't stay here."
But the look on her face is like, "You can't take him back. You can't take it back." And then at the end of the episode is like, you realize it's been a story that Walter's telling Olivia, and he's like, "From that point, I knew that I wasn't going to take it back." And that's where Peter comes from. So that's Peter's backstory.
Okay.
The best episode. There's other good episodes in this season as well, because you've got like there's a time traveler played by Peter Weller, the guy who plays RoboCop in the 80s films.
Sure.
He's from Wisconsin.
Okay.
Yeah,
there we go.
One of our local celebrities, yeah.
That's why
and there's like people often say it's the best episode because it's Walter and this other guy trying to sort of understand mistakes of the past. He's trying to change time. Walter's advising him against it. He's like, no, I got to make a change. He's like, the cost is too high, kind of thing. But in the meantime, Walter decides he's going to tell Peter the truth. Turns out that Peter figures out independently that from the alternate universe because an incursion happens like around him, and like everybody else is kind of disintegrates and he doesn't. So he's like, something's wrong with me, and he figures out he's actually from the alternate universe. So he runs away. So then we have the musical episode, which isn't a completely musical episode. It's actually a sort of Walter is taking drugs, and he's telling a story to Olivia's niece, who is just there because she's got a babysit or whatever. And Walter tells her a story about this sort of this noir kind of world where Peter's an investigator and trying to figure out weird things and saving Olivia kind of thing. Uh-huh. And it's actually really cute. And there's like corpses singing as well. It's a bit bonkers, but it's good. It's fun. People don't like it, but I think it was kind of fun. It's got a really touching moment at the end where basically Walter makes himself the villain in his own story because he's got such guilt, whatever. And the kid is like, you should change the ending so that it's, instead of trying to do it, you're trying to save the bad guys or whatever. And so it made a thing. Anyway, it was really cute. Meanwhile, the shapeshifters who are being sent to our universe by Walternate are trying to figure out how to traverse between universes. Finds a way to contact Peter and saying, you're my son. Actually, you should come to our side because I'm trying to make a device that can stop the cracks in the universe. And there's a certain machine that only reacts to his DNA, which seems a bit weird, but there's a reason for it. And goes over to the other side. I forget how. It doesn't matter. Maybe the shapeshifters find out how to do it. I don't remember. Meanwhile, our Walter discovers that there's an old sort of scroll, whatever, that has Peter's face on it. That actually, instead of the way that they're going to seal the cracks in the universe is to destroy our universe.
Sure.
Of course. So, meanwhile, Olivia finds other adults who were experimented on as kids in the same drug trials. They've got their own kind of powers as well.
Yeah.
Because Walter believes that Olivia's power is actually the ability to travel between universes, not just see the universe. So she gets like maybe 3 or 4 of them who are adults, and they work together. They each have like a different power or whatever, and they kind of cross through the side, track down Peter, and they don't all survive. But then Walter meets William Bell, Leonard Nimoy, and they have like a sort of like really fun, like, how could you do this to me? Turns out William was the person who operated on Walter to take parts of his brain so he wouldn't remember everything. And also that's what makes him a bit crazy. But turns out William Bell ends up sacrificing himself to send them back with Peter. Because we learn that Walternate, the Secretary of Defense kind of person, or National Security Advisor, is evil.
Right. So when I said is it evil or crazy, he's both.
He's both. He's both, yeah. So that's how the series 2 ends. Series 2 ends with them sort of going over to the parallel universe, the other side, and finding Peter, bringing it back. Meanwhile, Olivia meets her alternate version.
I was going to say, is there an alternate version of her, or is there another one? Okay, yeah.
There's an alternate version of most people, including the agent who was copied into a robot thingy. Olivia finds her alternate, who is called Faux Olivia. Because of faux.
Yes, I understand.
Which is why you were faux Nick.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
You're faux Nick and I was Jonathan. So they come back to our universe. Yay! Save the day. Except it's not our Olivia who's come back. It's the fake one.
Does she have a fringe?
Not anymore, because now she's posing as our Olivia.
Oh.
But she has red hair.
Drama.
Yeah, total drama. There's such good interactions with like these characters playing other parts of themselves.
That's fun.
So there's a double agent.
Bum bum bum.
Exactly. So season 3 starts, and this is the season that we're really trying to. We're going back and forth between the 2 universes.
Right.
So not only are we we've got our own weird Fringe stuff going on our side. The other universe, the episodes that are set in that universe, the intros are red. So there's but in their kind of stuff is like, I don't know, like motor vehicles or something weird. Like it's just like the off kind of parallel universe kind of thing.
Okay.
Different stuff. So
does the same weird stuff happen in both dimensions, or is it opposite stuff, or related at all, or just different stuff?
They're kind of related because they're related in terms of like the locations.
Okay.
So sometimes because the cracks of the universe happen on both sides, so some things get pulled through. But the way that the alternate universe is handling these incursions is that they've developed a type of amber. So it's released as a gas and it solidifies and it contains the universe, but it also traps any living creature who's in it as well, apparently killing them, but that's not quite true, as we find out later. This amber substance is hinted at, like again in like a season 1 episode, because we get it on our side somehow. But it's much more of a crisis kind of thing over there because they're scrambling to sort of stop these weird stuff happening because it's slowly destroying their universe.
Right.
There's a image that the big thing that happened was a sinkhole in one of the rivers, I suppose, and it's like on the news 20 years ago, the first time the sinkhole happened, and all this stuff happened, which is how Walternet got up to like being national security czar or whatever it is.
Is it more serious over on that one? Like, is this stuff happening more dangerous on that side, and that's why it's like
kind of weird? So whereas on our side it was more like weird shit happening and like scientists and criminals are using it in weird ways, and we gotta figure out what it is. Like over there, it's like destroying things.
Okay.
So it's much more of a crisis. So they're much more eager to get it stopped. So that's how they discover that Walternet's plans for Peter is to use this device. It's actually more like a doomsday device to destroy the other universe, which the idea is that it's going to stop the cracks in their own universe.
Right.
So on that side, the episodes kind of swap back and forth between the universes. On that side, our Olivia has been brainwashed to think that she is their Olivia, so she's working on those Fringe cases with their team.
Okay.
But slowly figures out something's off because she's seeing visions of Peter. She's like, "You're not real." Like, "I'm real, but there's a really interesting episode where there's a man who is basically killing people by predicting with amazing accuracy, like butterfly effect kind of things, where he can put like there's like a blue biro is like the whole thing of the episode, puts it there and then it knocks over a thing and somebody looks over and knocks over a shelf and that kind of rolls apples into the street and then gets hit by a bus. But they figure him out, and so this man who they're chasing all episode is on the run from Olivia, and he predicts that if he goes down this one street, then there's going to be an alert, which apparently in this universe means that there's an incursion that could be happening. Go to like the public phone box type thing, grab a gas mask and put it on so you don't die, kind of thing. And then because she does that, she's going to be in the way of these falling bricks, whatever. And that's how he plans on killing her. But because she's not from that universe, which he doesn't calculate, because why would he do that? The alarms goes off and she doesn't grab a mask. She just continues running, missing the bricks. And he's like, "Oh, I didn't think that was going to happen." She catches him and almost dies because of the gas thing. He wasn't. Anyway, very, very clever. So that's an example of how they're using.
I like shit like that. That's fun.
Mm-hmm, yeah. But it also was like, why didn't I go for that gas mask kind of thing? Meanwhile, on our study universe, the faux Livia is a double agent. She's working for Walternet. She's been tasked by Walternet to find these devices on our side, to build this device on our side as well. And meanwhile, she's getting in Peter's pants like all the time. She's trying to get in
Peter's pants.
Yeah, she's succeeding. Like there's a lot of shagging.
So they fuck.
Yep. So, bit of romance there.
It's called romance, but
romance, yeah. In the middle of season 3, her cover's blown. Our Olivia has got enough realization that she doesn't belong there, tries to escape, but she's foiled by Walternate. They keep her in a tank.
Do her powers work over there? Can she see through?
She's not really in tune with that over there because she just realized she has them, kind of thing. She doesn't know how to do it, but she's able to. She saves, like, I think it's the son of that version of Broyles, and he realizes that she's a good guy because she could have escaped, but she went back to save his son in the previous episode. So he helps her get back to our universe in the same episode that Faux Livia has been uncovered, and I forget how exactly, but she escapes back to her own universe. So really good moment when, like, our Olivia's back home, but she's seeing, like, the fact that her doppelganger has been shagging Peter, but she kind of liked him too, and she's like, what's been going on? She's been living in my house, she's been wearing my clothes, I found your shirt at my house, like, what the fuck? And it's like, that whole tension is ripe because they kind of like each other, but they can't because it was all misunderstanding.
Okay.
Because that Peter episode from last season was so good, they go back to the 80s again. Not quite as good, but it turns out that the reason that they experimented on children was because Walter had guilt and was trying to find a way to send Peter back. So they were experimenting on kids, trying to figure out ways. Olivia and Peter meet as children, which is a bit dodgy, but because, whatever. Turns out, in one of the really good moments of the show, in this 1980s episode, was Olivia was, like, the most successful student because she didn't go crazy for a start. She didn't die. And her power is actually to travel between the universes. Like, that was the goal. And a really good scene at the end where she appears. Her powers manifest as a way of getting away from her abusive stepfather, as is the trope. And so she's crying, and she, like, goes up to Walter with a drawing, and she's like, "I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. I failed." And she's like, "You can have this." I forget what it was, but, like, a drawing or whatever. And meanwhile, Walter's like, "Okay, yes." She gives him a drawing of her and Peter together. And she's like, "I'm really sorry, I have to go back home now," whatever. And she kind of vanishes. And it turns out that wasn't Walter, that was Walternate. And she had crossed over inadvertently, not realized it, and let slip that that's where Peter was, which kickstarts why Walternate is like, I know where our son is. It's been like 6 months, yeah. And kind of that starts it. That's like halfway through. That's a really good episode as well. It's called Subject 13. So Faux Livia is back on the other side, and it turns out she's pregnant with Peter's kid.
God.
And that was Walternate's plan all along, because
Grandpa.
Yeah, basically, if he doesn't have Peter to jumpstart the device, he's going to use Peter's DNA to do it without him. So...
Couldn't have just got something like his jizz or something? Didn't he need Peter?
I don't know.
It's
just a good baby. So he, like, speeds up her pregnancy somehow. And, I know.
I don't like that.
Turns out William Bell isn't dead. Or his like mind is some sci-fi bullshit, but like kind of manifests in Olivia's body for a few episodes.
For God's sake, is this Leonard Nimoy?
This is Anna Torv being Leonard Nimoy, and it's quite fun actually, because she's like, "Oh, I assure you that she's quite fine, but I need to do something with myself, otherwise she will die." Anyway, So they have to figure out like how to get him out of the body and upload it into like some server or whatever. It doesn't really work, but whatever. It's a fun little moment. The finale of season 3 is basically Walternate being able to finally like jumpstart the device without Peter's body. But by that time, our Peter they've been putting together this. They've been finding these pieces of this device like buried all over. They don't know where it came from. They put the thing together. Peter is like a different destiny. He thinks that he might destroy the universe, but he comes into the device. And what you see is what turns out to be, basically we jump forward in time 15 years. And the world is shit. All the stuff that basically what Peter did to destroy the other universe, now it didn't really seal the cracks. The more and more shit is happening, and it's not working. So in the future, Peter and Walter are working together to build the machine, and they use a fringe crack in the universe to send it back in time. And that's where the device comes from. But at the same time, they're also sending a vision to the Peter of today to say, hey, it's not going to work. And so what Peter does in the moment at the end of the episode basically builds a bridge between the two universes that is stable. And so you suddenly see at this one room where the devices are in both universes, you see Olivia and Olivia and Walter and Walter facing each other and all these sort of doppelgangers suddenly in the same room together. And Peter's like, right, you're all here. Here's what's going to happen. How is this going to work? We're going to work together to solve it. And as he's explaining it, he just kind of phases out of existence. Dun, dun, dun. I'm just telling you a story of the whole show, aren't I? Major spoilers for this show, by the way. If you haven't said it already.
What season is this?
3. Okay, I'll zoom through the last 2 seasons. The funny thing is, at the end of that episode, was like Peter's like, right, here's what we're gonna do, and he just kind of like disappears, like brrr, like phase, like a TV turning off, and all the other characters kind of just turn to each other and just keep talking, like nothing ever happened, which makes total sense because if you suddenly were out of existence,
if he's out of existence,
they're not gonna remember. They're not gonna notice him being gone. And outside, you see a whole bunch of observers saying, yes, it's confirmed. He's been erased from existence.
I can see why people would really like this show, but this would drive me nuts. It's why now that when you said J.J. Abrams, I'm like, oh yeah, this all feels very losty, and not my cup of tea.
Mm-hmm. But I love it's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm sure, but lots of
and I think
did.
The funny thing is, like, I think this is one of the shows that I watched religiously with my husband. And then we broke up and I kind of just stopped watching it. I didn't get the same joy out of it as I did. And I kind of lost the momentum in a way. But I did finish it and I was like, it's great. Okay, let me go through the last 2 seasons very quickly. So season 4 it's like a new timeline. They kind of have new backstories kind of thing. It's a bit awkward because they kind of have to rewrite all the characters in a way. There's no Peter, but he does obviously come back because how could you not have a show without Peter? That's the episode with Chadwick Boseman. Where he turned out to be one. I wrote down Chadwick Boseman was a drug child, but he was one of the kids who was experimented on, and it turns through his help, Peter comes back, but nobody has any memories of him, but he knows everybody else.
Right.
So
No Way Home.
There's a new kind of
No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, but what do you mean?
No one has any memories of him.
Oh, right. At the end, I think meant like the other universes. Yeah. So nobody knows.
Oh, I understand why that would be confusing because they do that as well.
Yeah.
No,
I was like, what?
Sorry, my bad.
And so Peter's like, this isn't my universe, but he doesn't understand that it is his universe, just not the timeline. So meanwhile, the two universes are working together to stop these fringe events. Because of the reset timeline, the terrorists are back. There's a new kind of shapeshifters. Slowly, throughout the season, Olivia and Walter get their memories back slowly a little bit as well. At the end of the episode, at the end of the season, turns out that Olivia Bell, who hasn't died in this version, he is trying to build a separate device where he can destroy both universes and make himself god of a third universe. Okay, so they stop building Bell, but they did actually destroy the bridge in the process.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a peace between them. Season 5 is the half season. There's only like 12 or so, 13 episodes, whatever.
To round it up. To round things off.
Basically, yeah. Like, I guess it could have ended at 4, but there was...
What happened? What was the finale of 4? How did they finish 4?
The bridge gets destroyed.
Okay.
And they kind of... I think that the two universes are kind of closed off at that point.
Okay.
So parallel universe is done. There's like a bit of a send off as well because they know they're gonna have to close the bridge kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there's like a goodbye, farewell. You know, good luck in your side of the universe. So season 5 is fast forwards to like the year 2036, where like the intro is now like, dun dun dun, and all the things are like it's like water, corn, hope, kind of thing. These odd sort of things. Turns out that when the bridge was destroyed, all these observers kind of appeared and took over the world, basically. The observers are from a time far, far in the future where humans have basically altered themselves with technology to the point where they have all these powers like precognition and telekinesis at the expense of their own sort of emotion. And they're super smart and they can read minds kind of thing. But also their planet is like trashed.
Sure.
So what they're doing is they're sending themselves through time to see where the best time would be where they can come back and take over, basically. And so they choose 2015 because that's when the bridge collapsed and they can't fuck anything up if they appear at that point for some reason. So in the future, in this 2036, it's been 20 years since they've taken over. Central Park is like a factory.
Sure.
You know, Walter and Peter have been in amber. They've been frozen as amber. And then this woman called Henrietta, who turns out to be Olivia and Peter's daughter, Olivia and Peter's daughter, called Etta or Henrietta, and Desmond from Lost. They find them in amber, they bring them out, and they're concocting a plan. They're bringing all these devices, another sort of plan together. But Walter can't remember what his plan was, so they have to find these videotapes and slowly put the pieces together. There's a really interesting moment where Peter kind of goes off the deep end and tortures an observer and pulls out the device that makes him smart, puts it into his own head, and he slowly kind of takes on the traits of an observer, like the sort of the emotionless and like the superpowers in a way.
And a fedora.
Never gets around to wearing a fedora, but Olivia kind of shows him his own humanity, and they find their old lab at Harvard, and they see all of the old Fringe events that they had investigated, and they use them to fight the observers in the finale. So like all the episodes you see of like the weird butterflies with razors for wings, or like the weird porcupine monster, or like the weird gas that makes you combust from the inside, all this kind of stuff. It's like a big fan service kind of thing. Like they're going to use it all on the observers and to get into the sort of whatever. The finale. So I'll tell you the finale.
Yes. Please.
The finale is basically there's a child observer that is first seen in an episode, a season 1 episode. He's been around like hiding away for this whole time, and there's one observer that is like the more prominent is basically has realized that this child has emotion as well, and so if they send this child into the far, far future to the point where humans created these observers, they can say, no, you can have emotion as well, don't create the observers, then they won't invade. Like a bit of a time loop kind of thing. And so the plan is to do that. Someone's gonna have to go with the child, and this one observer said, I'll do it because he's kind of like my DNA, whatever. But he gets shot, so Walter sort of takes over and goes through the portal into the far, far future and successfully convinces them. We don't see it, but it's implied that because the observers don't show up. So the end of the series is basically a flashback to 2015. We have Peter and Olivia and their young daughter, and Walter just disappears. They don't know what happened to him, and that's the end of the show. The end!
It sounds kind of like, I don't know if it was the same time, obviously following on from Lost, but Heroes, Flash Forward was another one. So this kind of like, let's be like modern, but
high
spooky,
concept.
Like, yes, here's a sci-fi kind of concept and move it forward. None of which I found particularly landed.
Well, I think some of them are better than others. I didn't really like Flash Forward, and what was the one you said?
I like the concept of Flash Forward, but it was boring as fuck.
It was so boring, and it lasted only like a season.
It only did one season.
Oh, only one season? Heroes was
Should we
also...
do a Heroes one?
I mean, it'd be a rant, Maybe I'll drunk rant about
Let's do a rant! Yeah!
I would definitely, like, you've been drunk on our drunk rant episodes.
You should be the drunk rant, because I've drunk ranted.
I'm so disappointed.
Star Wars, Wolverine, retcons. I've been the drunkest one.
You know what?
And the rantiest
I
one.
could very happily and very successfully drunk rant about the TV show Heroes.
Yes!
Because I fucking watched it all. I was so disappointed in the end.
Yeah, I didn't finish it.
You are.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay, so, yeah, it feels very much in that kind of, like, time period. I don't know if they're all at the same time. It sounds like, oh, let's do this kind of sci-fi, Lost, X-Files, shenanigans.
Yeah. But you're totally right. But I think that this show does it well and mostly a lot better because of the characters' connections and this character's arc. You really believe these characters, and the performances are so good that you're like, you want them to succeed.
It also sounds really straight.
Really straight? Oh, is
Not just that there were no mention of any homosexual characters, but also like the concept and the energy of it sounds really straight.
Well, I mean, Lost was really straight as well.
It sure was.
Were there any gay characters in Alias? Maybe it's a J.J. Abrams thing.
Maybe he's a homophobe.
Maybe he's a homophobe. What's in the mystery box, J.J. Abrams? Is it straight pride?
He made Zachary Quinto a straight character in Star Trek.
He wasn't even... Was he out at the time?
Yes! Massively out.
All right, sorry, I didn't know.
I don't know. I don't know why I was so excited about that. I don't really care for Zachary Quinto. Yeah, it feels like a Fox network TV. His straight men sit down and watch this because it's sci-fi kind of shit. You'll like this. You'll like this, right? There you go. Shut up. And here's a cop show afterwards. And here's like a Chicago firefighters comes up next. You know, all that kind of.
It's not that bad.
No, I mean, maybe it's the same.
Maybe it is. Maybe because it was like because it is like also a cop procedural investigative drama kind of thing.
Everything on Fox heterosexual
weird stuff.
Because that's a Fox show as well. Super straight.
I don't know. I don't really watch. I don't live in America anymore.
I don't remember what's.
Do write in, dear listener, if you think.
Tell us about a queer or non-disgustingly straight show that's on Fox. In America.
Yeah.
It feels like a vibe because we have Fox on Sky.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the same thing, but it's usually like Chicago Fire or.
I think it is now.
What's that thing with Jessica Alba in it?
She's in a TV show?
Yeah, her and Gabrielle Union.
Oh.
Both gorgeous, brilliant.
But
Sack
really
of crap.
Yeah.
Cops, and here my cop, and here we are as cops, and they work in this like 15-story glass building. It's like, who has the budget for this?
Yeah.
Like, it's just
so
American Fox kind of.
I'll tell you what, though.
911, that kind of thing. Have you seen that? All that kind of shit. That's very Fox.
I'll tell you though.
Anyway, sorry, that's not what this is about.
I don't think it's a Fox thing. I think it's an America thing.
Or just like that time slot network TV.
Probably, because I think the majority of America. The thing is, like, TV networks in America are not going to go out of their way to cater to the LGBT community because
there's not many of us.
It's not going to sell. There's not enough of them. You know, like I can't think of any sort of. LGBT.
Well, I'm
sure there are. Yeah, that was an outlier, I think.
Yeah, sure was. There's some gays on like Grey's Anatomy. I've got a couple of gays.
Are the characters gay or just the?
Both. Normally it's lesbians, isn't it? They love to put a lesbian on a TV show.
Yeah, and it's always like a peripheral character, isn't it?
Because men like that.
They sure do. It's more palatable than like dicks and bums.
We don't want dicks and bums. So no dicks and bums in Fringe.
No dicks and bums. I can't think of any out.
No queer characters. No, not even non-heteronormative kind of vibes. It
I
seems
don't
very
know.
Heteronorm vibes.
First, I think I could be and probably am totally wrong, but I get the
sign. That's what we're here for. That is the purpose of the podcast.
I know,
is to be wrong, so people can write in and feel like they are better than us.
Yeah, of course.
Because we love that.
Tell us more and more.
Please.
The assistant character who doesn't really have a lot to do. I got the sense that she was a bit of a non-hetero. She was queer in some way, but I don't know if that was something I picked up on in an episode or something that I just hoped because it was never explored.
Interesting.
Great, so super geeky and so sci-fi fanatic fantasy kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was a great show. does not get a lot of love, and I'm happy for this episode to have happened.
I'm amazed that it didn't get cancelled.
I do wonder.
Shows get cancelled,
Yeah.
and it got to do its like final season 5 farewell kind of thing. I wouldn't have thought it would get that far.
I mean, I think I get the sense they had to fight for it. That's season 5 because they only got half a.
More than a lot of them get. So.
And by that time, I think I was already like, oh, how am I going to watch this? I don't even know where to watch it anymore. Because I couldn't download them illegally. Do you want to smash or pass the characters?
I mean, do you want me to read it out and you can smash or pass them?
Well, I'm trying to figure.
Yeah. I'm just gonna read it from the Google Cast list.
Sure. Meghan Markle smashed.
Let's do John's
Fringe.
John's Fringe smash or pass.
Sneaky.
Okay, Olivia Dunham.
Smash. Love her.
Walter Bishop.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. It's pass, but I would love to hang out and go take some drugs.
I just see him as the Lord of the Rings guy, and that's creeps me. If that's how he eats a
creepy,
tomato, how's he gonna eat my ass? Gross.
But he wouldn't though.
Ew, gross.
Also old. Not against old people, but also old.
He is old. Peter Bishop, not Peter Jackson. It says Joshua Jackson, Peter Bishop. So
yeah.
I got.
And also, we were just talking about Lord of the Rings, so. Yeah, Smash.
Smash, of course. It's Joshua Jackson. Is he a bad person in real life?
Don't you do this to me. You always do this to me.
I feel like I saw a TikTok channel that he's been cancelled. He probably has. To be fair, I don't think you can be famous and not be a terrible person.
I mean, has he... I literally been typing up Peter Jackson. What's his name? Peter... No, it's not
Joshua Jackson. Astrid.
Oh, total smash.
She looks hot.
She's the assistant. I love her. And the fact is, Walter calls her Asteroid and Asterix, and she never gets her name right.
She's hot. Okay, yeah.
Totally.
Philip Broyles.
Yeah, I just love his voice. That's Lance Reddick. Smash.
What's he famous for?
He's famous for The Wire, which I've never seen, but I don't. And I think I saw him in something else. I was like, oh my god, it's Lance Reddick.
He looks quite hot, yeah. Charlie.
What's good that voice is gonna be? What?
Charlie Francis.
Charlie Francis. No, I might pass him. He's all right, but he's kind of inconsequential in the end. Sorry.
Oh, I've lost it. Nina Sharp. She's got this weird Darth Vader thing going on, but she's the founder. She's the current CEO of Massive Dynamic in William Bell's Place, and it's a bit too kooky, a bit too weird. Pass. Okay. John Scott.
John Scott is Olivia's boyfriend. Of hers. I think they're married in real life now as well. No.
He looks like he would have been hot when slightly younger. Oh, I recognize him. Generic white man. Yeah.
You recognize him as generic white?
I feel he's in Days of Our Lives.
Oh.
Spast. Yeah, they were married.
Oh, they are.
Ooh, not anymore. 1 year.
Oh, really? They're not married anymore.
2008 to 2009.
That was the first season of the show.
So they didn't.
It was for publicity.
Yeah, didn't last very long.
Generic white man.
Are you gonna smash him?
Pass.
I'll smash him.
It's too.
I'll smash my
square jaw football.
That's fine for me. That'll do. The Observer.
Which one?
I've got Michael.
No, he's actually a really good Broadway actor, but as the character of the Observer, I think pass.
We do say character. It's not.
Yes.
Actor.
Yeah.
Lincoln Lee.
Ooh, smash! Yeah.
Really?
I think he's.
Oh, okay. So the one that comes up, he looks like a homeless man because he's got a beard and bad hair. But then you.
The character or the actor?
The actor.
Yeah, the actor's got some bad foot poor.
Real bad first. Oh,
he's cute.
Yeah. It's a little bit Twinkie-ish.
He shows up in the later seasons on the alternate side as another agent investigating the Fringe.
He's married to Bryce Dallas Howard.
Really?
I love Google. Remember when you used to have to know things?
I love Wikipedia.
Tells you. I do. I love Bryce Dallas Howard. That's amazing. Okay. She could probably do better, but okay.
Yeah, smash him.
Junior agent. It cuts off, but Duchess off.
Amy Jessup. Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll smash.
Yeah, I mean, if I was that way inclined, I would. She's gorgeous.
Hopefully, because I want to know more.
Henrietta,
I'm assuming the adult, not the child.
yes, the adult version.
Yeah, smash. She's cute.
Was this made in Australia? Because all of them are Australian.
No.
Walter is Australian, and whatever
Anna Torv, yeah.
is Australian. Henrietta, woman, is Australian.
Okay, so 3.
Oh, she's Elsa. Yeah, so that's...
She's out. Oh my god, yeah! She was an Elsa once upon a time, wasn't she?
I've never seen that, but I've just seen her photo. She's really pretty. I like her.
I watched most of that show too.
She's got a fun look.
That's amazing. I didn't realize that. Anyway,
It's
yay.
3 important people are Australian. Sam Weiss?
Sam Weiss, no, he's more of like a buddy. I wouldn't say. Good, interesting character though.
Pass.
Yeah. I'm talking about characters.
Okay, I'm just gonna go purely on looks.
Okay.
David Robert
Jones?
Sure.
No, pass. He's evil.
Captain Wind.
Oh, he's the evil observer. I'll pass.
Yeah. Joshua Rose
Don't know who that is.
or Matthew Rose.
Oh, yeah. Let's smash them both. Can I do both at the same time?
Yeah. They're
Then
brothers, though. You can, but your brother has to be there watching.
What?
If they're brothers and you have sex with them at the same time, then your brother has to be in the room at the same time.
Why?
Because they're brothers. They're not the same person.
It's fine if they don't touch each other.
Okay, but your brother doesn't have to touch anyone. He just has to be in the room.
Why?
Because if his brother's in the room, your brother has to be in the room.
Oh, to make them feel better?
Because you're a pervert for
Okay.
thinking that, fuck twins at the same time and forgetting they are brothers.
Yeah, that'd be weird. Yeah, okay, fine.
It's weird for them, for their brother to be in the room. If you think, it's fine because you're twins, it's like your brother has to be in the room at the same
Thank you
time.
for opening my eyes and everything.
It's gross.
It is gross, yeah.
That'd be fine, I don't mind.
You still do
I
it,
still
though.
do it. It's fine. Shh. It's fine.
It's fine.
Don't. It's been a while, Neil. Just give me
I
something.
don't know if there's anybody else.
Rachel Dunham.
Rachel Dunham.
She's pretty as well.
She's Olivia's sister, and I think she's pretty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless
Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman's character, yeah. Smash.
Cameron James. William Bell.
Pass. There's a character called Nick Lane as well. He's one of the drug children.
Diane Kruger was in it?
Yeah, very briefly.
Okay.
I think she was like. Oh, I remember because she had some connection with with the J.J. Abrams. Was she in a show? Anyway, she was like, "I'll be in your silly TV show, sure." And she gets the disease and gets gruesomely murdered in the first 5 minutes. It was brilliant, and I love her. But that's what it was. It was like.
Who was Elizabeth Bishop?
Walter's wife. Who? Yeah.
She's in Picard.
What's the actor's name?
Orla Brady.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Irish. And she's 62? She looks...
She's very good because she's the one who convinces Walter to not take Peter back, but then she goes a bit crazy because it's not my Peter.
That'll do, right?
Yeah, fun. We ended on Picard.
Yay! We can do a
We can do a
Picard episode if you want, but that was a hard watch.
Anyway.
So that's Fringe!
That's Fringe.
Do you feel better for having done it?
Kind of, but I feel like I did it badly.
No!
So basically, it was a show that took the whole parallel universe evil doppelganger to an extreme.
Got it. Which is usually just 1 or 2 episodes on a show. And it's just the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good show. It's really good. And I think the thing is, even though there's a lot of sci-fi tropes in it, you're still interested in these characters and you're still interested in the storyline because you want to know what happens to them. You want to know how their story plays out, which I think is a great recipe for a TV show. So that was good, yeah. And I want to hear from our listeners as well. Anybody else who's a big fan of Fringe, who's watched all the episodes, please write in. Please tell me what your favorite episode was. I know a few that I skipped on purpose that are also very good. But tell me, share with me your nerdiness about this TV show.
And is this a comfort show, do you think? Or this kind of sci-fi whatever kind of thing. Is it a comfort show that you rewatch? Are there other ones that you like as well? Like we mentioned a couple of them. Are there ones that we've missed, or are there other ones that maybe we haven't heard of? Something like that? Any kind of
give us suggestions.
Like sci-fi shows that you think don't get enough love. Like you don't think this gets enough love. What are the other ones that you think like don't get enough attention? You can write to us.
Yes, please do. Send us an email. The email address is incompletegeekspodcast@gmail.com.
You can also message us on social media. We're on TikTok and Instagram @incompletegeeks.
Yes, and while you're there, give us a like, share with your friends. Comment. We will read all the comments. We will reply to them. And follow us. We like doing the show, and the more support we have, the more fun it is for us as well. So, if there's anything I got wrong as well, you can let me know. I do apologize. I have not seen it. I've not actually watched an episode for years, so I probably got a few details wrong. If I did, I apologize. I'm not a complete geek,
but you are working on it.
Thanks for listening.
Bye. P.S. Look at how pretty the moon is.
Oh yeah, is it full tonight?
It looks full and menacingly covered with clouds, but it's just about to go behind the building, so miss out on that fun.